Here we have an upper line Viking sewing machine that we're going to clean the thread cutter assembly on. And this is going to be the same as the upper line Pfaff sewing machines. First thing we're going to do is remove our bobbin cover plate. And then we're going to remove our presser foot. And now we're going to remove the needle plate. You have a small indentation on the right hand side in the front, and you put your screwdriver underneath there and pry that up, and these two springs in the front of the needle plate will release, and you can remove your needle plate. The next thing we're going to do is remove our bobbin cover plate, our bobbin holder or bobbin cover plate. This comes out, set that aside. Now then we're going to grab our bobbin, and so sometimes it'll actually lift your bobbin case out of the machine, and that's handy. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to move this part right here. This L-shaped piece is called the fetcher. We want to get it out of the way so that we can clean this out. What's going to happen is you're going to get threads that are going to get caught in between this brush. It's called a brush pile, and you might have some threads caught in this. What you want to do is remove the threads without removing these fuzzy brush piles. This one is relatively loose. This one is a lot tighter, so it's harder to clean, and we need to get this fetcher out of the way. So right in the back corner over here you have a little screw head. I'm going to put my screwdriver in there, push my fetcher out of the way so I can see everything in here. At this point you're going to have little bits of fuzz that are going to be caught in between the blade right here and the brush pile right here. This is the place where you want to pick out your little bits of fuzz, strings, anything else, so you can use either a straight pin, or you can use a pair of tweezers. Straight pin sometimes you'll want to have that also to kind of just pick stuff out of the way, and then remove it with your tweezers. There's a blade also here, right here, and that blade is extremely sharp. So you have to be careful. You don't want to stick your fingers in there because it will cut you. So please be careful with that. Anyway, once we remove all of the threads, we're going to need to push our fetcher back into place. So you use your screwdriver again, put it in the little screw, drag the fetcher back. So the fetcher is this L-shaped piece. Anyway, make sure it's seated all the way up against the housing over here. So now that we have our thread cutter clean, we're going to put everything back in reverse order. So we're going to take our bobbin case, we're going to set our bobbin case down in. It's important to note this line across the back of the bobbin case and this line on the bottom of the front of the feed dogs have to be parallel. That means your bobbin case is installed correctly. Once you get the bobbin case installed, we will need to put the bobbin case holder back in place. And it just sits in the front and tilts down, and so it holds that bobbin case in place. Next we're going to install the needle plate, and if you notice there's two tips on the bottom of this. We're going to fit it in that hole and that hole in the receiver, and you have to make sure that you're flush. The needle plate is all the way against the back over here and all the way against the back over here. Once you establish that is, if you press down, you have two fingers. Pressing down will snap your needle plate back in, and you're flush all the way around. So that's the proper way to put it in. Now our bobbin, we need to make sure when we put our bobbin in our bobbin case, because the Pfaff and the Viking bobbins will only go in the bobbin case on the upper line machines one way. But if you're using pre-wound bobbins, you can get them installed incorrectly. It's a drop-in bobbin system, so the bobbin, if you pull a little bit of thread, needs to be turning counterclockwise. It's important that it's turning counterclockwise. If it's turning the opposite direction, your bobbin thread will walk right out of the bobbin case tension assembly, and you will get loops on the top side of your fabric. So we pull it through into the tension assembly, pull it around our latch, our thread latch up here, and now I'm holding the thread. I'm not going to cut it yet. I'm going to install my bobbin cover plate, and now then I'm going to pull and cut our thread. We'll then put our presser foot back on, and we are ready to sew with our fully cleaned thread cutter assembly.